Good morning, students. Today we are going to discuss about how transition is applied using HTML and CSS property. In general, what is by transition? Transition is it's a process of changing one state into another state. While we discuss about in web pages, the process of changing one style of element into another style of element is called as referred as transition. Simply, we can call it as change element style over some specific time period. Here the property CSS property used for applying transition properties simply a transition, and the values that are assigned to the transition properties are opacity or the transition name and the time duration in which the particular transition is going to be applied, and the timing function which will apply some style effects like linear, easy in, easy out, easy in, out, all those things. And we can also apply a transition delay in terms of seconds. Here in delay will provide a seconds between the page load and the transition effect starts. Okay, normally opacity value ranges from 0.0 to 1.0, and duration and delay timings are in seconds or milliseconds, and timing function which we mentioned here, linear, easy in, easy out or easy in out. Here is an example where how can we apply the transition property in HTML code. Here the property name is transition, and we applied the three values here, which will be separated by spaces. The first one is opacity, the default value is 1, and the transition timing function, that is the duration of transition effect is 4 seconds, and the transition function is easy in, out. Let us see an example code here. So in this example, we specified a transition effect using embedded style sheet. So how to define an embedded style sheet using style tag inside the head tag. So here we are using a style tag that will represent the type CSS property. So in this style tag we are using two style properties for image element. The first one is simply a type element which will apply these properties, this position, left at top and the transition. All these properties are applied to the image element, and we have one more CSS property, image dot top. Dot top means which is a class property, class type selector, and it is applied to image whenever the mouse is over on image, that is h over means handed over image. Let us see the first property. It is whenever we use the tag name directly into a CSS style, then we can call it as type selector. Here the position is absolute. There are two kinds of position values are assigned to position property. The one is relative and the other is absolute. Absolute means which will display the information. Here we have image tag which will display the image in the exact position. Relative means relative to its previous position. Here we place the image from left position 200 and the top position 100 pixels. Just see on the screen which will display the image in the respective places. And to apply the transition property, either we use hyphen webkit hyphen transformation or simply set transition or simply transition. Here in general, the general process will take the transition property directly, and if you are using Chrome browser, we have to use webkit hyphen transition. Here we have applied three values. The one is opacity, the second one is time duration, and the last one is transition timing function. Here I use the same property without WebKit, mean that it can be applicable to all the browsers, whereas WebKit hyphen transition is applicable for Chrome browser. So here I mentioned the opacity value is 0.5 and the remaining things are same. Likewise, we have one more property that can be defined through class selector. Whenever we use the dot before the variable name, we can call it as class selector. To access the selector, we have to use an attribute named class inside the image tag. Here I mentioned the opacity value as 0. Normally opacity refers the transparency. That means if the opacity value is 0, it is fully transparent, and the opacity value is 1 means it is fully visible. So then we have to go into body tag. Inside the body tag, we have two image element. Normally IMG elements are used to load an image into a web page, and particularly the SRC property will help us to load the image. Normally the SRC but attribute uses the file location of the particular image. Here we mention file images, that means image file as sunflower.jpg, and the height and width of the images are specified here. Of course, height and width are 400 400. Likewise, we use one more image tag with the src property which will load the image file, this tulips.jpg, and the height and widths are same. And the alt tag is used to display the information whenever the images is not available in the specified location. It simply display the text, whatever the text that can be defined inside the alt tag, it simply display it. Here we notice that there is one more attribute that is named it as class, which is equal to top. Here it means for a property, the CSS property of class selector. So whenever we move the mouse over the image hand over, the opacity becomes 0. That means that the tulip image will be hide by specifying the property that is opacity 0. Let us see the output of this particular program. Just I move the mouse over the tulip image which is shown on the browser, and the opacity gradually get into 0. That means the tulip image is now hidden, and it shows the backside images, that is sunflower.jpg. When I left over the mouse over the screen, it automatically show the tulip image. Mean that here we use a h over property, that is class property h over, the opacity becomes 0. That means the tulip image visibility get into 0. That's why we can't able to see the tulip image, but we can see the image which will be placed behind the tulip image, that is sunflower image. Just once again we see the same output. When I move the mouse over the tulip image, it automatically gets hidden, and the backside image sunflower images as shown. When I left over the mouse, it automatically get turned into a tulip image. Thank you.